Once upon a time, in a cozy little house near a dark forest, there lived a cheerful boy named Leo. He had curly black hair, big, curious green eyes, and a spirit full of adventure. He always wore his favorite red hoodie and blue jeans, and no matter where he went, Finn, his plush orange fox with a white-tipped tail, was never far behind. By day, Leo loved exploring his garden, imagining grand adventures with Finn. But when night came, the forest near his home seemed to turn into something different, something a little frightening, with rustling leaves and mysterious whispers that sent shivers down his spine. One evening, as Leo tried to fall asleep, something unusual happened. A glowing light flickered outside his window. At first, he thought it was just his imagination, but then he saw it clearly. A little firefly, glowing like a tiny star. "Finn, do you see that?" Leo whispered. The firefly floated outside as if it was calling to him, leading the way toward the dark forest. Leo hesitated for a moment, but something inside him couldn't resist. Holding Finn in one hand and a flashlight in the other, he quietly tiptoed out of the house. When he reached the edge of the forest, the air felt cool, and the trees stood tall and dark, their branches twisted like reaching hands. For a moment, fear gripped him, and he almost turned back. "Finn, we can do this," he whispered to himself. The firefly's glow brightened as it hovered, lighting a path through the trees. Taking a deep breath, Leo stepped into the forest, and the rustling leaves seemed to whisper, almost like they were encouraging him. The firefly led him deeper into the woods, where the ordinary gave way to the magical. Mushrooms glowed softly in the dark, and tiny golden sparks floated through the air like fireflies. Leo even spotted a family of rabbits peering out from the underbrush, their fur shimmering faintly. "This isn't so bad, Finn," Leo said, starting to feel braver. Then, suddenly, a rustling sound stopped him in his tracks. From behind a bush, a squirrel with shiny acorns in its paws appeared. It looked up at Leo, chirped, and dropped an acorn at his feet. "Is this for me?" Leo asked. The squirrel nodded, then scurried off, its fluffy tail vanishing into the trees. Leo followed the firefly until they reached a clearing bathed in soft moonlight. In the center of the clearing stood 3 majestic forest guardians: a silver-feathered owl perched on a branch, a glowing antlered deer grazing gracefully, and a cheeky raccoon holding a lantern. "Welcome, Leo," the owl said in a calm, wise voice. "You've been afraid of us for so long, but there's nothing to fear," the deer added kindly. The raccoon grinned mischievously. "Come, let us show you what makes this forest special." The guardians began to hum a gentle melody, and to Leo's amazement, the whispers that used to frighten him transformed into a beautiful song. The trees swayed as if dancing to the rhythm, and the entire forest seemed to glow with life. Leo stood in awe, holding Finn tightly. "It's beautiful," he whispered. The raccoon led him on a playful journey through the forest. They crossed a sparkling stream where glowing fish darted beneath the surface. The owl pointed out constellations through gaps in the trees, and the deer showed Leo a nest of baby birds nestled safely in the branches. "I never knew the forest was so full of life," Leo said, amazed. As they continued walking, Leo noticed a darker part of the forest ahead. The firefly hovered at the edge of the shadowed trees, encouraging him to go further. "That part looks a bit scary," Leo admitted. The owl flew to his side. "Sometimes the scariest places hold the greatest treasures." Taking a deep breath, Leo stepped into the shadows. As if by magic, the darkness gave way to something breathtaking. A hidden grove filled with glowing flowers and a waterfall shimmering like liquid starlight. The guardians gathered around Leo, and the owl plucked a single silver feather from its wing and handed it to him. "This will remind you of the courage you found tonight," the owl said gently. The deer bowed its head and touched Leo's shoulder with its glowing antlers, and the raccoon handed him a tiny glowing acorn. "For luck," it said with a wink. As the first light of dawn began to paint the sky, Leo made his way back home. The forest, once a place of fear, now felt like a friend. He placed the silver feather and glowing acorn on his bedside table, keeping them as symbols of his bravery. From that day on, Leo visited the forest often, discovering new wonders and sharing stories with Finn. The whispers that had once frightened him now sounded like a comforting lullaby. And so, Leo learned that fear could be transformed into something wonderful, as long as you had a little courage and an open heart.